get ready for Linehaul Lonnie, number 8.
Hi, I'm Linehaul Lonnie, number 8. Today I want to talk about the old truck stops and the important part they played in the trucking industry going from way back when. The truck stops played a huge part because they were the perfect time for drivers to stop and have their lunch and get together and phone home and phone dispatch and catch up with each other from time to time, as there was no communication from truck to truck back then. So they would all sit together, and most of the guys were on the same steady run, so they knew each other. So they would all sit in the truck stop and catch up on all the gossip and whatnots and what was going on up in the road for weather and whatnot. And then they would talk about who scooped who on what hill and goof around amongst themselves and have a good time and a great visit. There was while they had their meals. So sometimes there was some pretty good looking waitress to look at, and and then there's one truck stop. There was a waitress named Flo, who was quite good looking from what I hear. And the guys would all get around and sit around and watch her as she wiggled when she walked and stuff like that. And they'd get the fidgeting and nudging one another at the show she put on. And then after it was over, they'd all get down and get back to talking about how fast them trucks go. The camaraderie back in the day amongst the truckers was huge. Nobody got left behind. If someone broke down on the road, 2 or 3 guys would stop and help get them going, and try and fix the problem. If not, they would give him a ride up to the nearest truck stop so he could get some help, or a tow truck, or talk to his office. And or if not, they would give him a ride home. They looked after one another like brothers. It was pretty cool to happen back then. The camaraderie was fantastic. Unfortunately, nowadays, the camaraderie isn't that great anymore. It's pretty much, they might call you on the CB and say, "You're okay," as they zoom by you at 100 kilometers an hour or so. The odd time someone might stop and give you a hand if you have a problem. But with cell phones or whatnots, pretty much most guys can look after themselves and get in touch with dispatch or can get help themselves. They can look after themselves. The trucks back then, they all had like poor windshield wipers, no AC, poor heaters, not very great headlights, and them guys put mile after mile after mile in them old trucks and in the conditions that were far less superior than what we have now, like on our trucks now with the air conditionings and the big stereos, and we all got a lot of guys have VHF radios and CBs and cell phones, and and so pretty much a lot of comforts of home and very easy making air ride seats, and so our job was quite easier than what them old guys do. They truly were the guys that went out there and did their job under some uncertain conditions, that they were truly almost the unsung heroes, for what they had to put up with and to do their job. So anyhow, getting back to my tip of the day is, in the last little while, we've had some major snowfalls in eastern Canada, eastern United States and that. And a lot of people were trapped in their vehicles and cars and whatever. And unfortunately, some people have passed away due to that. And a lot of it is because they sat in their car idling and did not get out and clean the tailpipe so that it would exhaust away from the vehicle. And therefore, consequently, some of the people passed away through monoxide poisoning, exhaust coming in the car, and which is a bad deal. And so the big tip is try and, if you're ever in that situation, get out and clean up your tailpipes. Make sure your vehicle is going to exhaust away from the vehicle. And so just got to try and look after yourself as best as you can, and hopefully try and park somewhere where you can get out of your vehicle every once in a while and go for a walk or get some fresh air or whatever. So now, getting on to the joke of the day, there was a blonde lady who gets into the airplane takes off, and she gets up out of her seat and goes and sits right in first class. And the stewardess goes after her and says, "Ma'am, you can't sit up here. You did not pay for first class tickets, so you have to go back to your seat." And she says, "No." She says, "I'm blonde, I'm very pretty, and I'm going to Toronto, so I'm staying here." And the stewardess says, "No, ma'am, you have to go back to your seat." She says, "No, I'm not. I'm blonde, I'm pretty, and I'm going to Toronto." So the stewardess goes up and tells the co-pilot and says, "We got a problem with a lady, and this is the situation." So he says, "I'll go talk to her." So he goes up and he talks to her. He says, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but you paid for economy fare. You have to go back and sit economy. This is first class, and you did not pay the extra money to sit in first class." She says, "No." She says, "I'm very pretty, I'm blonde, and I'm going to Toronto, so I'm staying here." Okay, so the co-pilot goes back and he sits beside the pilot and he says, "Hey, we got a problem. We're going to have to call security when we land. This is the situation." Oh, he says, "Oh, no. He says, "I'll handle this." He says, "My wife's blonde. I speak blonde." So up one goes. He goes and sits beside the lady and he gets talking to her. All of a sudden, she stands up and she says, "Oh my God." She says, "I'm so sorry." And away she goes and she sits back in her seat. And then the pilot goes back and goes back up to the cabin. And the co-pilot says, "What happened?" He said, "I told you, I speak blonde." He said, "I sat down and I told her that she's welcome to sit in first class all she wants because she is blonde and she's pretty. But I told her that first class does not go to Toronto." That solved the problem. Hope you guys like that one. Have a great day. Some songs I'd like to reference due to truck stops is the first one is The Old Home Filler Up a Keep On Trucking Cafe by C.W. McCall. And then How Fast Them Trucks Go by Claude Gray. And then I'm a Truck Driving Man by Red Steagall. And then Ravishing Ruby by Tom T. Hall. And then the last one is Great Big Green Eyes by George Fox. Hello. Yeah, so any of the songs that I've recommended or videos, you can find them on my playlist under Trucking Songs, TRUKKIN songs. Anyhow, hope you guys give it all a listen and enjoy them all. Okay, that's all for today. Remember, keep the greasy side down and the shiny side up. We gone. Bye-bye.